In 1878, on a small island in Sweden, a grave was opened. Inside, a sword, an axe, a fighting knife, 2 lances, 2 shields, 25 armor-piercing arrows, and 2 sacrificed horses. It was immediately called one of the most extraordinary warrior graves ever found in the Viking world. And for the next 139 years, everyone assumed the warrior was a man. They were wrong. The year is 750 AD. 20 miles west of what will one day become Stockholm, a small island rises from the cold waters of Lake Mälaren. This is Birka, and it is the beating heart of the Viking world. Not a place of raids and blood, but of trade, strategy, and power. Merchants from as far as the Middle East pass through its docks. Fur, silver, and silk change hands on its shores. This is where empires do business. And at the edge of its great hill fort, in a burial ground reserved for only the most important of the dead, lies grave number 581. In 1878, the Swedish archaeologist Hjalmar Stolpe unearthed the grave beneath a granite stone 8 feet wide, a marker that announces, even in death, this person mattered. Inside, alongside the weapons and horses, his team found something else. A full gaming set, a board, 28 playing pieces, and 3 dice made from antler bone. In the Viking world, gaming sets like this had one meaning. They were buried with military commanders, people trained not just to fight, but to think, to plan, to lead. Stolpe catalogued everything carefully, placed the bones in bags, and shipped them to the Swedish History Museum. The warrior of BG 581 was logged in the textbooks as male, and there the story ended, for nearly a century. Then, in 1975, a young researcher named Berit Wilkins was cataloguing skeletal remains from hundreds of Viking graves. Routine work, until she reached BJ 581. She looked at the pelvic bones, the mandible, the proportions of the skeleton, and quietly noted, "These look female." Her observation went almost entirely ignored. Decades passed. In 2014, bioarchaeologist Anna Kjellström re-examined the bones and reached the same conclusion. Again, pushback. Skeptics argued the bones must have been mislabeled, that a male warrior must be missing from the grave, that the weapons surely belonged to someone else, because surely a warrior this important couldn't have been a woman. This is where the story gets uncomfortable, because the reluctance wasn't just caution. The researchers themselves later wrote that Viking scholars had been, in their words, reluctant to acknowledge the agency of women with weapons. The assumption of male warriorhood had been so deeply baked into the field that evidence to the contrary was explained away for over 100 years. In 2017, geneticists from Uppsala University decided to end the debate. They extracted DNA from a tooth and an arm bone of the skeleton. Ancient DNA, over 1,000 years old, degraded, fragile. They ran the genome. The result was unambiguous. 2 X chromosomes, no Y chromosomes. The warrior of BJ 581 was biologically female. The study was published in the American Journal of Physical Anthropology. National Geographic, the New York Times, CNN, and The Guardian all ran the story. The world was stunned. But the researchers weren't finished, because confirming she was a woman was only the beginning. The next question was, who exactly was she? The weapons found with her were not ceremonial. Analysis confirmed they showed the wear patterns of a trained fighter, someone who had used them. Her clothing told another story. Textile experts identified her tasseled cap as likely manufactured in Kyiv, imported from the eastern trade routes that ran through the heart of the Viking world. Her garments were of extremely fine quality, the style of a cavalry commander under the direct authority of a royal war leader. Isotope analysis of her bones showed she had not grown up in Birka. She had moved there, likely from southern Sweden or Denmark. In the Viking Age, that kind of geographic mobility was a mark of high status. She had traveled. She had risen. She was buried at the very gate of the Birka hill fort, in a spot visible from both the town and the sea, surrounded by other weapon burials. adjacent to a garrison hall where shields had hung on the walls. This was not a woman buried with her husband's weapons. This was a commander buried in her command post. The researchers concluded she was a high-ranking officer, possibly a military strategist, one of the most powerful people in one of the most powerful towns of the Viking Age. And for 139 years, history had decided she didn't exist. The researchers ended their paper with a quiet warning. They wrote that they believed more Viking female warriors would be found, either in new discoveries or in the reinterpretation of graves that had already been dug up. Graves that had been labeled wrong from the start. How many others are out there, misidentified in museum storage bags? Their stories never told because the people cataloging them couldn't imagine what they were looking at. The warrior of Birka grave, BJ581, has no name that history has recorded. But she was real. She lived. She led. She was buried like a legend. And now, at last, her legend is untold no more.